This week's guest is Stephanie Markakas-Plouffe, mental health coach, entrepreneur, and founder of Entrepreneur Connection Edmonton. From a small bakery empire serving 18 retail stores across Alberta to a kitchen-based coaching hub, Stephanie is on a mission to heal the food service industry from the inside out. She knows burnout, she knows trauma, but most of all, she knows how to bring people back to joy through the simple, sacred act of baking. And while she's at it, she does not ignore her burning desire to teach the missed generation how to bake. Today, Stephanie is building bridges between mental health and entrepreneurship, helping chefs, bakers, and food workers reconnect with themselves and each other in her new initiative, Bake Club for Entrepreneurs. I have the immense pleasure of actually welcoming Stephanie today. Hi, Stephanie. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. The reason we got together, and I mean, it was really nice, we actually happened to set up a stall beside each other, almost like a table sort of display at the Agri Connector, which was back in, I think, November 3rd, wasn't it, here in
it was, yeah.
County?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was funny because as soon as I was starting to set up, you were already set up, and we started chatting immediately, and we started talking about actually mental health and within the catering business. But rather than me steal your thunder, why don't you just tell everybody your full name, what you're about, where you're from, and how you got kind of interested in this sort of idea?
Sure. Full name, Stephanie Markakas-Plouffe from Entrepreneur Connection is my company name. Where do I start? I've been in the food industry for 20 years. So for all you older folks might remember Eaton's Restaurant. So that's where I started my career in the food industry. And by the time it closed, I went from dish pit to, the assistant manager by the time they closed. I learned a lot along the journey and just fell in love with the food industry and wanted to know more. And so I continued on my journey with working with different restaurants and all that sort of stuff. And then, family happened, had 2 children, kind of slowed down. And then the kids are now grown up. And so I opened a bakery. So I have a commercial kitchen in my house. It was fully licensed all that years ago, but now I teach baking classes within the Edmonton Public Library. So if you're looking for life skills, you go in the Edmonton Public Library, and you can find me November 24th and December 10th for my baking classes. How did the mental health come in? Well, I started coaching probably about 7 years ago as a mentor. I was a mentor for 2 organizations that kind of collaborated, and they were looking for mentors to help people with disabilities. And so I became a mentor and just absolutely fell in love with it. And so I got my coaching certificate. And then I started building programs on my own within the food industry. And so it kind of took off. And then Rise in Toronto, which is risehelps.ca, helps entrepreneurs with disabilities get funding and have coaching and mentoring. And so I've been mentoring them for 7 years. I have lost the amount of count of how many people I've mentored. I truly enjoy it. But the coaching with the mental health came into play where I noticed that every time I was coaching, people wanted to talk about what was going on in their life. And I didn't have the tools or the skills. So I got certified as a mental health first aider. I got trauma-informed care training, and I have psychological safety in the workplace training. So it helped me kind of navigate through all of that with my clients. And then I really wanted to start talking about mental health in the food industry because it was so important. After, I can't remember his name now. It was a chef. He had passed, he committed suicide.
Yes, Anthony Bourdain.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It really struck a nerve with me because I thought, how can this be? He seemed like he had a really good life, and but you never see the dark side. And so I wanted to start that conversation with my food clients to, open up the doors. Let's have a conversation. And so that's kind of where I started and how I've continued. And I've been I've been doing it for a while, almost 7 years, 8 years now, and absolutely love it. And work with organizations across the country, helping entrepreneurs, both in the food
Wow.
industry and in other industries. But food industry is mostly my passion.
That's incredible. Wow, we've got lots to unpack there, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I'd like to tackle the kind of the elephant in the room to start with. I think that's the most important thing that we talked about and really connected on was
Yeah.
mental health.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you brought up Anthony Bourdain. I mean, I so enjoyed watching his programs. He wasn't an easy person to live with, from what I gather. He was a Jekyll and Hyde type of character, but really interesting, had a really great point of view on things.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly he was no more. And it was very shocking, I think, for everybody. From your perspective, what have you learned over the 7 years now that you're qualified, that when you really start to key in, what are the things that you're looking for in somebody when you start to talk to them about mental health, especially in the industry? What are you kind of looking for? What are the telltale signs?
Isolation. That's the one thing that we as entrepreneurs, no matter what industry you're in, can be completely isolated because you sit in front of your computer working and having Zoom meetings like we're having right now. You're not connecting with other people. And we are connecting, but it's not the same as connecting in person. There's a different vibe. And so isolation becomes a huge thing, which then, of course, becomes depression, and then anxiety and all of that. And so I tend to have conversations about going and doing things that bring you joy. What do you do when you're depressed or, the weather is crappy outside, and doom and gloom type situation, but what do you like, and you're feeling that kind of depressed and isolation type situation, what do you do? So that's kind of like the first signs I start having conversations with the entrepreneurs about, is what brings you joy, what fills your cup, and go do it.
Yeah, and I love what you said, that what brings you joy, especially in the sort of blue days, the ones where you just can't understand, where you're a little bit kind of off color. You can't really put your finger on it. And it's funny, actually, when you talk about that isolation, you find the people that survive the longest in life are the ones that have families, extended families, or they can go and talk to friends and they can spend the time of day with somebody. Why do you think the industry is so badly affected, though? What's your perspective on that? With mental health, there must be different ranges of different types of mental health issues, but why are they so badly affected in this industry?
A few reasons. I think the expectations that the industry puts on people working in the food industry, that everything has to be perfect, that, presentation or food or, this atmosphere has to be perfect, right? The other one is it's changed over the years of the customer service portion. It used to be customers were so thankful that you brought them a plate of food, right? Oh, thank you so much. It tastes delicious. All this. And now the expectation is, well, why is this out of place? Or why doesn't this look proper? Or why can I get ketchup or whatever the case may be? And so the people that are serving this food is now the one that are taking the brunt end of it. And people are arguing or yelling at them because it's not perfect. And it's not. Life isn't perfect. And their expectation is there. And so the person that's serving the food is the one that's, gets all of this negative energy, right? And then they have no outlet other than in their minds, okay, other than alcohol or drugs. And so they use those as coping mechanisms instead of having a conversation with somebody and just say, hey, you have support here, have a conversation within the moment, right? It makes a huge difference of what kind of manager you have as well, right? If the manager has an open door policy and yeah, sure, come on in. Yeah, I know it's busy out there, but do you need a moment? Sure, let's do that, right? Versus a closed door policy where who gives a crap? You're just going to go do your job and you'll suck it up and deal with it, right? Type of situation.
Yeah, and we hear that often, don't we, in the industry? I mean, the employees, correct me if I'm wrong, do you think employees now within the food industry, especially catering and in the fast food and also within the restaurant part of the industry, are not valued like they were maybe 20 or 30 years ago? Or are we looking back 20 or 30 years ago with rose-tinted spectacles? What's your perspective on that?
They're not valued. People are not valued. Servers and people who work in the food industry are not valued 100% are not valued. It used to be 20 years ago where, there would be a random tip jar, let's say at a coffee shop, and they would just plunk in their cash because people use cash back then, right? Instead of just the debit cards and Visa or MasterCard. But they would put the tip, like whatever extra change in the tip jar, and then say, thank you, thanks for this great service, or thanks for the great cup of coffee, or whatever. And now it's like, well, you didn't get my latte right, and they're missing an extra pump of vanilla, and can you start over again? And they would call them names, right? So the value of a person working in the food industry has gone from basically 100% to now 10%, where the value is just not there anymore. And it's scary for the person that's working in the food industry. And it's sad that the person on the other end is going to treat a human being like that.
Do you have a perspective on how that could be changed? Because I know your personality is one of very open, very warm. You really want to support people, and this is amazing, right? But how do we get your energy, and how do we convert it to something practical to support people? Have you got things already in place? Have you got, sort of courses that you've done that are really going to help to sort of bring people's, self-esteem back up so that it could stand tall and they don't feel battered down by the perspective on the industry?
I'm currently working on a program that's going to have open conversations, actually using Lego. A restaurant, would contact me and say, hey, can you have a conversation with my staff about mental health? Well, I'm going to bring Lego in to play, and we're going to play with Lego, and we're going to have a conversation around how does it feel, to be berated by a customer. Let's build something, that sort of thing, so that they can get that support and be validated, heard, and seen and supported versus, not. And so that is going to be where we are going to help the manager or the owner even to understand that if someone just needs a moment, they need a moment. And so a lot of kids, I'm going to call them kids, a lot of kids these days that are coming into the food industry that are brand new are neurodiverse, and they have some challenges. And so they need extra support, whereas some of the managers and owners don't understand how to support them. And so you put those tools, you give them the tools that they need to support their mental health, which will help them run the business smoother. And the customer service will be better. And then also customer conflict. Conflict resolution? How do you deal with that? And so giving them the tools to be able to do that will also help.
That's incredible what you're doing. So have you had any kind of successes that you could highlight to us where you've gone in, it's been a particularly difficult situation, something that maybe they feel at a loss, maybe the person is just either going to go out the industry or they've just gone sick, and have you managed to get somebody around and say, okay, let's just start the steps, just small steps, and let's get you back on track and let's get you back up, elevated to where you feel as if you can go into work and do the job that you always loved before? Have you had any successes?
Yeah, I have one in particular. I've had a couple, actually, more than a couple, but one in particular that stands out is a lady that when I first started coaching, she came to me and she says, I'd like to, you have your 8-week program. I said, sure. And so we went through everything, and she was a retired nurse who at the time retired during COVID because she was in that generation that was going to retire anyways, whether it was COVID or not. But she loved baking, and she would bake because it was therapeutic. Hence why I do baking classes, because it's a huge therapeutic thing for people. And so she was making these loaves, and it was great. She would make all sorts of different loaves: banana loaf, lemon poppy seed loaf, like all these things. And just as we were completing the 8th week, she says, I have something to tell you. And I said, okay. And she goes, I need to talk about shame. And I said, shame? All right, let's have a conversation. So she told me a story about shame and all this. And so I paused for a second, and I let her sit with that feeling. And then we kind of opened up. How do we deal with shame? How do we deal with all of these things? And so we did. We had a conversation. And by the end of the hour or so, she said, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to open the door to walk through to talk about shame, because I've been holding that in for a really long time. And so because of this conversation, she came back to me a couple of times and we had more conversations about shame because she wanted to talk about it. About probably 6 months later, she emailed me. She says, Stephanie, because of your conversation and the process and all of the procedures you've helped me put in place, I've made over $100,000 in profit this year.
No way. Seriously.
Yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, this is great. So yeah, it was extremely successful because she allowed herself to open the door and talk about shame and to kind of pause. If you pause and for a second, you're able to kind of allow your feelings to come to surface and allow them to do what they need to do, because they're not going to stay forever, right? They're going to come, they're going to say hello, they're going to do their thing, and then they're going to leave. And so allowing that space to bring up those emotions can allow a person to step forward.
It's very interesting you talk about shame. It drives so much of us, our kind of what we do as humans, doesn't it? Because we're brought up with shame. You know, it's the kind of flip side of the coin. You should be proud about something, but you're going to be shameful about this. Right. And we get very conflicting perspectives on it because it's coming from our parents, it's coming from school, it's coming from work, it's coming from inside us. Do you think that is that the biggest problem that most people have then? Is that shame is a real sort of catalyst? Or do you think there's other factors within our human psyche that really do affect our mental health as well and our well-being?
Oh gosh, there's so many, David. I know that a lot of people have trauma, and it can be the smallest of things, or the hugest of things. Trauma is trauma wherever it shows up in somebody. And so I think trauma, shame, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, the fear of failure, the fear of success, all of that, it can be encompassing as a way of people struggling through it. And so opening up and having conversations about all of those is part of a workshop I do on mental health and entrepreneurship. Is we talk about all these, and it's not just me talking. No, because that's boring. It's me asking you questions and letting the conversation flow organically and see where it goes. And in that, I'm going to be bringing in Lego, so that Lego and play can be factored in, because everyone thinks that mental health needs to be so serious, right? Let's have a conversation. No, I don't want that. I want to be able to have a conversation about mental health while we play, right? While we have some fun, but still have that conversation, which it allows the nervous system to calm down and go, okay, I can play with Lego, but I can also have a conversation about mental health and how I'm feeling within the food industry. And it's okay to feel that way, because what a lot of people do is they hide it. It's not okay to talk about it. It's not okay because there's no support. They feel they have no support within that restaurant or whatever food industry you might be in.
It's interesting you say all that about the hiding of it, because it's connected with shame, it's pride, it's all the things that we get taught. You don't show your emotions or your feelings, especially as a man, right? For instance, I mean,
absolutely.
And for us to sort of break down and to actually sort of say, look, this is how I'm really feeling. It takes a mechanism. It clearly it sounds as if you've really got a mechanism that works, which is wonderful. Now, listen, I want to park that for a second. I want to lighten things a little bit, because I want to get to know you. And as I mentioned before we started recording it, I like to sort of dig a little bit down and sort of find out how people work and lift the little carpet, the corner of the carpet, and see who Stephanie is. Now, you did mention something really interesting, that you started your own baking business within the house, and you got certified as well in terms of the house, so that you can bake cakes and do everything and hold, sort of events and what have you. Tell us a little bit about how that all got started. How did you get started on that road?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was in the real estate industry. There's something new for you to know. I was in the real estate industry for about 9 years. I owned a real estate company. I had 2 real estate companies, actually. And then I closed that down and went into working for what used to be Comfrey. It's not Comfrey anymore. Worked for them a little bit, and then got injured, and then had to stop. And I stopped for about a year, and then I sat down and thought, what do I want to do? And one of my good friends at the time, she said, Stephanie, you bake every day. She says, why don't you start a bakery? And I went, what? No. And so what it really started, let's go back a little bit. My husband, I don't even know, the kids were young. So probably 20 years ago? 20 years ago. Husband bought me a KitchenAid mixer, first one ever. And I started using it. And while I was pregnant with my second, I was baking every day, bread, every single day. It was just so much fun. And as the years went on, I learned how to make more things. And my mother was a baker as well. And so she taught me some things. And my aunts and uncles and cousins are all bakers. And anyways, and so I decided I'd open up a food industry, like a bakery, right? And start selling my stuff at farmers markets. And I did that for like years. And then I wanted to jump up because I was asked to bake for a cafe. So I had to get into a commercial kitchen at the time. And so I was in a commercial kitchen at a church in the local area. And my husband turned around and goes, all your profits are going to pay for the kitchen. And I went, yeah. He's like, why don't I just build you one? And I went, what? And so we looked around the house and one of the bedrooms wasn't being used. It was like literally, that junk room that you just stick all the junk in. So we took all of it out and we looked around and we said, yeah, this could work. So here it is. My husband and one of my good friends helped him build it. And my son, he helped build it. And all the electrical stuff was done by one of my friends who was one of the top electricians in Rogers Place. So he came in and did it all. My husband did the plumbing. He did all this stuff. The only thing that we had to get done outside of it was the HVAC, which the guy came in, did it all good, got certified. And then here we went and started continuing baking. And then it turned out that I wanted to put stuff in Save On Foods. And they had and they still do, they have a made in Alberta kind of local area. And so I put my cookie mixes in there and I had 18 stores across Alberta with my stuff in it.
Wow.
And I thought it was great. But things started changing for me where GS1, which is the UPC codes, they started changing the rules and stuff like that. And I, as a small business, couldn't keep up. And I thought I think it's time to retire. But I still wanted to teach. And so that was my goal when I opened up the kitchen was I wanted to teach the next generation, the missed generation, so that they could learn how to bake and enjoy that baking instead of just going to buy something from somebody, make it themselves. So I did that. And so now that's what I do with the kitchen.
That is so good, what you just said there, the missed generation.
The missed generation.
You're on the money there because, I just turned 61 and I always remember, in the late 60s, early 70s, I would stand with my mum in the kitchen. She'd let me do the stirring with the eggs and the flour and the sugar.
Me too, yeah.
We called them fairy cakes. You call them cupcakes here. But in the UK, it was always fairy cakes. And then we'd always get the bowl afterwards. Probably not a good thing because it was raw egg, but what the heck? We used to lick the bowl. Do you remember?
Yeah, we did the exact same thing.
It was so good. But there was something really kind of cathartic and it linked us as a family. And when Mum baked, we then had the pleasure of tasting, what we'd baked. It was wonderful, What is it about baking, do you think? Specifically, I think baking cakes and be able to share that with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. What is that all about, do you think? Why does that make us feel so good?
The baking portion itself can be so relaxing. And I think that's because you're creating something. You're getting creative and you're going to create something that's going to taste absolutely delicious when it comes out. Right. And so I think that process allows our nervous system to calm down, especially if you've got Christmas music in the background and, you've got your kids there and all that. There's something that's connective with it too, as well. And so it allows you to just kind of calm down. If I'm having a bad day, right? Things aren't going well within my office, the business or whatever. I literally go down to my kitchen, not necessarily my commercial kitchen, but my kitchen. And I will literally go through Pinterest and go, I'm going to try this recipe. And so I literally try it. And it's the gathering of the ingredients, the putting the ingredients in the bowl, the mixing, the thoughts, the music in the background. It kind of just like, calms my nervous system down. And then, and then it comes out of the oven. You're like, yes, I've got dessert after dinner tonight. Great. and you're excited about it, and it's something to look forward to. And I think that's huge because we live in a society that is always on the go. Go, 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 go. And we never take the moment and the times to just kind of sit and relax and enjoy something creative. And so baking is that.
You know what? I was just relaxing so much there as you were describing the process of finding the ingredients. Then we're going to get them in the mixing bowl, and then we're going to put the music on. And it was just like, oh, I feel like, like when you're relaxing at one of those saunas, and they get, oh, now I can smell the baking. It was just so cathartic listening to what you say. And that description was wonderful. And I get it. I totally understand, and I think, so from your perspective, when you talk about organizing some of these courses and what have you, can people, and I mean, we'll talk about your website later on, how people can get in contact, but can people just literally log on to your website or reach out to you and say, hey, I'd like to put a course together with half a dozen friends and we'd love to come in and bake and do something for Christmas? Is that the sort of way that you do this?
I've been asked this question several times, in the last probably a month, if I would do this. Yes, I would. And actually, all the stuff I do, all the baking classes are online. And so if you get a bunch, and I've had this before, like a couple of years ago, there was the ATA, so Alberta Teachers Association. There was a section in the ATA that they would contact me, and they would do it once a year during Christmas. And that would be part of their Christmas kind of gathering together. They would gather online. They would all know each other, and I would just help bake, and they would be at their houses, and they would have side conversations. So yes, if someone was looking into like, let's have some fun with the office and have a baking class together, you can certainly ask and hire me to bake, and you choose the recipe. I'll just help you build it, and we'll break it down and do that, and let's have some fun. And I always, in between all of that, because I'm a food safety advisor as well, I put some food safety in there, just fun tidbits of food safety, nothing too serious, because life is just not, life does not need to be serious. And let's have some fun with it. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, you never know. You might get a little call from me later on after the show.
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Wasn't it great listening to Stephanie there? But before we continue, I want to do a quick shout out actually to Commercial Food Service for supporting this episode. And for over 20 years, CFS has supported schools, offices and daycares across Alberta with a reliable grocery delivery service. They're a family-run business and they know how to deliver. Check them out on cfsfood.ca. Now let's get back to Stephanie. Listen, as I was mentioning earlier, that I'd like to get to know Stephanie a little bit more, and I kind of piqued my interest when you said your mum was a baker. So tell us a little bit about family, because I'm always intrigued. People in Canada come from diverse locations, and they've got, mums from one part of the, sort of the world, dads from another part. Have you ever just sort of dug into the family history and did a little bit of where Gran and Grandpa came from and all that sort of thing?
Okay, so I didn't have a very good relationship with my family. So I'm not going to tell you too much of the story because I really do not want this on the podcast. But yes, my mother was a nurse. She was from Quebec. And her primary thing was being a nurse. And she was a nurse for 45 years, until she got injured. And then, but in between all that therapy situation we're talking about, that therapeutic, she would bake. And there was always as a kid, there was always a freezer full of everything. And now my dad, it was Greek. And so all the Greek pastries, all the Greek stuff would be in the freezer, and you just open the container up, put it in the microwave, and you're good to go, right? Type of situation. My mother would always have something in the freezer. Hence my freezer, like I literally made the baking list yesterday of all the Christmas stuff. My freezers will be all full probably by the end of November. It'll be full because people come in and out of the house, whether it be family, whether it be friends, they come in the house, and the first thing they go for is, where's your freezer at? Do you have anything good in the freezer? And they come out and they just, they microwave it and off they go and do their thing. Some try to eat the frozen, which is kind of funny, but I didn't dig past anything with my family. I do on my mother's side. My aunt and my uncle, my cousins, I still chat with them. They're all in Quebec. And they're all like literally professional bakers. They all did that. So I know my mother's side very well. I have seen them, talk to them, all that. But my father's side, no, my father didn't have a very good relationship with his family. So we just didn't have conversations, and I'm an only child.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it's just me.
Yeah.
And they've since passed away. Mom will be dead almost 20 years next year.
Oh my,
and
so a long time, eh?
Yeah, and dad'll be passed away probably 17 years.
Oh, quite a while.
So 3 years after mom had died. And so it's just me. And so the traditions that we used to have, that were good traditions, I brought those in and made our own traditions in our family. And when I left the house at 17, I decided that I wanted to make family a priority. That was something that was really, really something that was just kind of rooted in my persona. And so I did. And now, I have 2 adult children. I have an extended family who I absolutely adore and love. And we gather, at least once or twice a month for dinner, which I host because I like to do that. That's my love language, is to cook. And so family is really important. I've instilled that in my children, that it's really important for you to continue, loving with your family and doing things. And so like just last week, my oldest, who's 22 years old, had a Lego play date with my father-in-law, with her grandpa. And so they spent the day building Lego together.
Oh gosh, if I think they're a Danish firm, aren't they? I think it was Danish firm called Lego, wasn't it, where it originally came from. And I remember Lego was such a big part of our lives in the 60s and 70s. I mean, if somebody donated a box of Lego, I was in heaven. I just built things from like as young as I can remember. Why do you think Lego is so good for that? What is it about Lego in terms of helping people with mental health sort of strategies and issues?
I think it's the same thing with baking. It's the creativity. It's the connectedness. It's the calming of the nerves to be able to build stuff. It's using your hands, right? A lot of us sit in front of a computer. Do we use our hands? Sure, to type, but we don't create something that's sitting in front of us that we can actually visually see. And so I think that Lego with the mental health can help your hands move, which allows your nervous system to calm down, which allows your brain to kind of go, okay, I'm in a safe place. The same thing with the baking. So I think that's where the connectivity is.
I like that idea of the calming of the brain, because as right you say, our stimuli now is just overwhelming, isn't it? We have so much. And the problem is we get a perspective on the world which is very distorted sometimes. It can be, I wouldn't say necessarily propaganda, but it is filtered by all these different apps. And sometimes having those real conversations, which is what you're going to be having when you actually do face-to-face, even on Zoom. I love the idea of the Alberta Teachers Association do this once a year thing. Even though they're on Zoom, you still connected them all and were able to coordinate all that. And that's lovely. It sounds like you're very flexible in terms of how you kind of hold these different activities, which is really, really nice. Now, from your perspective, here's your ideal candidate, do you think? Do you have somebody who really would fit in with what you offer?
Oh, good question. I've worked with all sorts of different people who have just an idea, and they want to build on it. And then all of a sudden I've had people, yep, I'm going to continue. Other people going, nope, this isn't for me. Who's the ideal one? Someone that that has an idea. And it's been sitting on it for a really long time and going, okay, I think I'm going to take a chance and jump in, but they don't know where to start. And they need that support. Right. And so that's where I come in and support them and stand by them and walk on that journey of becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner, and what, all of the trials and tribulations that you're going to go through. That's kind of an ideal client for me.
And you have, obviously you've set the professional kitchen that you have at the moment, but you've also got another vehicle, which is just like a platform that you could actually host a lot of this on, or is it something you're just doing off your own back and you've got your own website and that's how you organize it all?
So I've got my own website, and you can certainly go on there to take a look to see what kind of services I have, but the networking entrepreneur kind of networking, I'm really picky as to where I go to network. Oh yeah, I've gotten invitations. Oh, you can come out to network with this, or you can do this, and I'm like, no, no. And the reason being is because I want to have conversations with people that are in the food industry, because that's obviously where my passion lies, that want to talk about, how to have a sustainable kitchen or sustainable restaurant or bakery or any of that. And so I'm really, really picky. Like the agri-food connector where we met, there was like, I was in awe of all of the resilience and all of the people and all the conversations I had. And I wanted to know more. That's the environment I want to be in, is to know more about your business and how, maybe I could help you in your business, or you could help me in mine, because I'm also learning. I don't stop learning. And because where we start as an entrepreneur isn't where we end up to be. I started out in the kitchen. That was the start. And look where I am now. And it kind of evolves as you go along. So I want to learn and understand and get to know people where they're starting, and then how to and help them evolve to get to where they want to be.
I'm intrigued. That was really interesting what you said. You're very picky about what you choose, and that shows an amazing amount of confidence in yourself and your perspective on where you want to take things. Where did you get your kind of open personality from? Because that's something I've noticed about you. You're amazingly, you're a little bit like me, actually, in many ways. You're interested in people, right? And this comes across, and you really engage with them almost immediately. And that's why we really hit it off really well. You just straight in there, and I loved that. Your opening gambit was, we've got to talk. And I loved that, because that piqued my interest. And I said, okay, let's do it. Where did you get that from? Were you always that way, or was that something you developed the skill sets over a period of time?
I think I was always that way. That's a really, I've never had this question asked David. I don't know. I think I've always been that way. From my background portion, I'm like thinking of like when I was a kid, or, all that. I learned a lot as I went along. So a little bit of background on me. Let's put a little bit of background so I became a lifeguard at 12. I went through the whole thing and became a lifeguard at 12. I made it to Canadians in figure skating when I was 50, and I could have gone to the Olympics, but I decided not to. And so all of the people you meet and all of the interactions and all the training that goes into becoming those things. I was also on ballet point. I was on point. I was in jazz, tap. I was in plays. I did all at piano. I did it all. So I think my personality and being open and honest became because I wanted to have conversations and get to know the people that were going to be surrounding me all the time. And then I remember I was in Ottawa, and I'm pretty sure it's still there. It's been a while since I've been in Ottawa, but there's an experimental farm, and there was a double-decker bus that was selling ice cream, and I needed a job. So I went and got a job. Well, this experimental farm during the summer, the Tulip Festival is in Ottawa. And so it brings a lot of people in from different countries. And I just started having conversations with everybody. I wanted to get to know what country they were from, whatever. I used to get coins. People used to drop coins. Oh my God, I'm from this country. Here's a coin. So I have a container still to this day of all sorts of different coins from different countries. Now, some of these coins don't exist anymore, right? The currency doesn't exist because they've changed over. But I still have coins. And so that's where I started having these conversations, and I can have a conversation with anybody. It's because like when we were there at the agri-food, it wasn't only you that I connected. I was literally in the bathroom washing my hands after I went. And this woman was wearing this like yellow kind of mustard shirt. And oh my God, I love your shirt. And she goes, oh, well, thank you so much. I said, I don't think I'd be able to wear that. It makes me too pale. And then I asked her, I said, so, what do you do? And she, as we're walking out of the bathroom, and she's like, tells me she was a hog farmer, and and then she's asked me what I did. And I said, mental health. And so we had a conversation about, how older farmers and mental health kind of don't jive together because they're in their ways, right? Which is fine, but it's the next generation and the next generation that are ones that want to have a conversation. So my husband doesn't really like it when I have conversation with random people in the grocery store, because he's like still driving the cart, and he's like way on the other side of the store by the time I'm done talking to the person. So yeah, I like to get to know people I used to be a reactive person. So if there was a conflict or whatever, I would just get in there and now as I've gotten older, probably the last 10 years or so or more, I kind of calmed down where it's like, okay, how can I help you?
Oh,
How
wonderful.
can we escalate the situation down? How can we do this? And so my personality has changed, but I'm still the bubbly, outgoing person who wants to get to know you and just have a full-on conversation with you.
It's interesting. There must be some Scots or Celtic background in your family somewhere, somewhere.
Maybe.
Yeah, because or even the Greek side. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's the Celts, like the Scots, the Irish, the Greeks. We're about family, and about inviting people in and hearing their story. And I mean, you've done so much. See, that I didn't know that when we first started. That conversation, the jazz side of things, on point. Being like lifeguard at 12. These are fantastic things that you don't really find out about people in general conversations. But that was amazing, eh? A rich tapestry.
I think it's good for you. And I remind my clients all the time, David, is when they're down on themselves going, I haven't achieved anything or I haven't done anything. I want you to make a list of every single thing that you've done since you were born, right? Of all of the achievements, whether it's small, whether it's huge, I don't care. Make a list and put it somewhere on your wall, on your kitchen, or in your bathroom mirror, anywhere, so that you can see it over and over again because you've achieved all of that. Just because you're not achieving like this major thing and it hasn't been able to come to fruition doesn't mean you're a failure. You've achieved everything to get to where you are today. So that's why I mentioned all of the things that's a little tidbit of all the things I've done in my life.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's so positive as well. Listen, I want you to think now, and I'm going to challenge you here.
Okay.
Another question for you. But
okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for it, Dave.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. You've got your crystal ball in front of you. Okay.
Okay.
What's your ideal vision in the next 5 years about how you want to elevate mental health appreciation in the industry? And what does that look like? What does that plan look like to you? What do you want in place?
I've been actually thinking about this probably for the last 6 months of what do I want to do. I think I would start to have conversations with kids in high school right off the bat because they're not in the city. Kids in high school that are in rural areas like St. Paul, or Edson or Hinton, that sort of areas, to have conversations about mental health and the food industry and what that looks like, and how to navigate all of that. Yeah, of course, we could do it in the city for sure, absolutely, because a lot of kids in the city are working for restaurants and stuff. But having a conversation about those and what it looks like. And I'm not talking about me standing in front of a classroom having a conversation. It's like literally having a round table and letting them talk about it. And, being able to go into industries, restaurants within the industry, not even restaurants, everything, farming, all of the agricultural stuff, everything that has to connect to food, having that conversation about mental health. What does that look like? And how can we support you? And the more I talk to people, the more I learn how to navigate through situations and the more research I do. And I think within the 5 years, I don't want to be on a stage having a conversation, and telling a story. That is not my jam. My jam is to sit amongst the crowd and have a conversation, just sitting on a bleacher, sitting at a table, having a dinner, a cup of coffee. Tea for me, I like tea, that sort of thing, and having those in-depth conversations and navigating mental health through those conversations. That's where I see myself in 5 years. And even I'm not a therapist and I'm not a counselor, but I'm someone who can sit there and say, hey, I've been there. I sat in the mud and I'll sit in the mud with you if you allow it. And be open to them being able to open the door and have a safe place for them to sit and, have a cry. I've had clients cry. I've had clients swear at me. I've had clients, close the computer going, I'm done. The conversation is over. That's because I've pushed them a little bit out of their boundaries and their comfort level for them to grow, but they're not prepared yet to do that. Or I've had, the clients who've cried going, I just needed to get this off my chest, but I had no support. Because a lot of people within that industry, the food industry, don't have the support in the background. A lot of them are sitting by themselves. They don't have family, or their friends just don't understand about the food industry. And to so have something in support of, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do to help.
Amazing. So I get where you're coming from. So I'm the guy that likes to be on stage and project the kind of the information, dissemination of that. I really enjoy that, the interaction with the audience. And I love the fact that you can jump in the trench and be in the trench with them fighting the war. I think that's amazing. Stephanie, I could talk to you for hours. I really could. But what I would like to do is if people would like to reach out to you, what's the best way of getting a hold of you?
I would say there's two ways. One, go to LinkedIn. Put my full name in there, Stephanie Markakas-Plouffe. And then Entrepreneur Connection will come up and link in that way. And then we'll have conversations like David and I did through LinkedIn. You can also reach me at my website, through my website. It's www.EntrepreneurConnectionEDM.com. And if anybody was wondering what EDM stands for, that's for Edmonton, because I'm in Edmonton and that's what I wanted to do. So there you go.
Lovely. Okay. Final question for you. I always like to ask this. Okay. If you were 12 years old, you're on that Montreal bus or wherever you were in Quebec, and you were sitting next to yourself, what advice would you have for yourself now that you've got all this knowledge about the world?
Oh, don't give up. You got this. And I would probably give her a big hug and say, no matter what happens, you can always pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue. Life doesn't end just because you made a mistake. And that, look at all the things we have achieved and look forward to achieving more.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I actually have a tattoo that's on my arm that I recently got. And it says, don't think, just do.
I saw it.
And the reason why I got it was because my younger self would overthink it. I would overthink all these things and I wouldn't do it. And we as entrepreneurs tend to do that. So I'm going to remind my younger self, don't think, just do.
Can't say any more about than that, can we? There you go. Stephanie, I'll tell you, it's been a real pleasure. And I'm so glad that we bumped into each other, literally, because we're next door to each other and you were straight in there. I hadn't even set my table up and it was wonderful. And you know what? I continue to do what you're doing in the industry because it's so essential to have those conversations. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks so much.
Well, at this stage, I'd normally back announce the program and then we'd go to the music and that would be the podcast over and done with. But I often find when we finish actually the official part of the interview, people really relax afterwards. And I wanted actually to add on this little bit that we did for another 5 or 10 minutes about sort of talking about baking and organising a baking event. And it's very interesting listening, to say the least. Stay on. Okay. How do you feel?
Fine. Good.
Okay.
Good. I love your questions. Like, they were challenging. They were insightful. This is great, David. I've been asked a few times, some of the questions that you've asked, like, are you willing to do the baking classes for us? And I'm like, I don't know. Sure. Never been asked before, but sure. But yeah, the baking class at Edmonton Public Library is like 60 people sign up for it, and 60 people are usually on the waiting list.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's been crazy. Now I've stepped away for a little bit. So I do have the 2 and there's still some spots, but the closer it gets, the spots will go away. And actually I think they jumped up to 85 people.
Holy mackerel. But doesn't it just show you something that it's really harping back to what we remember as children, I think. A lot of people were brought up with baking and cooking and food being that kind of hub of family life, and it takes you back there very quickly because it's very visceral, isn't it? I always remember, here's something I remember because I was very lucky, right? My dad was in the British military and we lived all around the world. We experienced lots of cultures, lots of food. And when I was 7 years old, I lived in Hong Kong. We used to go to school and everything, but we go at weekends. And I always remember the Chinese did the egg rolls. That sort of like literally sort of they put the on the hot plate and they roll it, and you get these tubes, and the smell from them was amazing. And every time I smell that smell, it transports me back to Hong Kong, that moment in time. So really, something about cooking and food is so visceral, isn't it? So visceral.
It is. It is. And I think that the younger generation don't understand what it feels like to make a cupcake, even make, like, people are like, bread is the hardest thing to make. I'm like, no, it's not.
Tell me what it is for me, because I can never make it.
But honey, come and sit with me for like an hour. I'll get you to make bread. And it's the easiest thing. Like, and every family gathering, the first thing someone says in our family chat is, "Are you going to make buns?" Like, yeah, I can, sure. And they just love them. And it's the easiest thing. It's time consuming sometimes, depending on the recipe. But in the end, it's that fresh smell of bread that goes wafting through your house. And it's funny because in my house, I have that massive fan, right? The HVAC fan sitting on the side of my house. And if I flip that sucker on while I'm baking, the whole neighborhood starts to smell. And I had one neighbor, because I was leaving to go get flour once. And the neighbor comes up to me and she goes, "Can you smell that?" And I said, "Yeah, it smells like baking." She goes, "I wonder who's baking." I said, "That would be me." And she's like, "Wow, that smells really good." Yeah. So you know what I mean? Like, it's a connective thing. And I think the food industry, the agri-food connector, there's all sorts of different things. Like even the panel, they were talking about, there was wheat farmer, was a vegetable farmer. And then there was a beef farmer, and then the chef. All of them were talking about it, but they each individually had their own thing. But if you go to talk to them about, let's say, having a steak with some vegetables with the guy next door, that's a connection.
Totally.
Right. And then the connection also goes to the chef that's going to be making it.
Yeah.
So all these connections brings around the table and the food. That's where I would love one day, David, is to have a long table of a chef that's going to make all of this. And all of those industries, all of those farmers, all of the people that are in the food industry that want to have that connector will be able to sit along those tables or that table and have a connection of this is where the food came from. This is how we make it. How can we connect together to make us sustainable together? That's what I would like to see one day.
See, this appeals to me because, I mean, I'm all about connections as well and getting people together and stimulating that interest. And it's almost like you need a food club. You need something to come together, the bake club, because here's what I do a lot in radio. And this is something my colleagues do in White Horse Radio, which is our kind of main station back in the UK, is they'll do individual cooking sections or spots on the morning show. And I love listening to it. It's absolutely brilliant. So Chris, my colleague, he'll do something like, I don't know, a beef curry. Okay, let's start from, get your beef, chop it up into cubes. And it's so, like, I'm listening to it, and I'm smelling it, and it's so engaging. And I can just see a great vehicle for you because you've already got the facility, you've already got the connections, and you want to make more connections. Doing something like a feature, like even if it's just, I call them bite casts, a little short snippet on LinkedIn. We're live today, Stephanie's Kitchen. We're in and we're doing this, we're doing cupcakes. If you've never made cupcakes, they're the easiest things in the world to do. And honestly, you would get so many hits and so many connections. And that's how because you already know what that vehicle is. Let's utilize that, And I'd love to do something.
It's interesting you talk about that, David, because I've been thinking a lot about this imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And imposter syndrome is huge.
Yeah.
Because even though I've been in industry for a very long time, there's a part of me that still thinks that I'm not good enough.
I understand.
And it happens to all of us. There's moments where I'm great, I can do it all. And the other moments is like, well, can I really do that? And so I know that it's there and I have the connectivity. I am scared to take that move forward because what happens if I get onto LinkedIn or I put a video of me baking or instructing or whatever, and people are like, what is she doing? Like, she's doing that wrong, blah, blah, blah. Like, that sort of conversation.
Yeah. And here's the thing, here's the reality of it. You are going to get those people because there's going to be
100%.
that 30-year-old guy sitting in a basement somewhere who doesn't have any friends. It sounds terrible. I mean, and, all he's looking at is just spamming or sort of like being a troll because he's unhappy in life. Maybe we can help him ultimately come out of that basement and stop baking. That's the people I'd love to help. But the point being is, no, I think I think personality-wise, I think you carry it. I think you've got all the knowledge. The vehicle you've got is superb. You've got the infrastructure already there. I'd love to come along and maybe let's do some live baking sort of things, and I'll interview you while you're cooking or baking or putting something. Because to me, that I would love to do that. Put it on your website. Put it on LinkedIn. It would get you traction. That would be amazing. I mean, unbelievably amazing.
Okay. Well, Thank you for wanting to do that. I will help you make bread.
Okay, let's do that.
We're gonna make buns. We're gonna make buns. They're gonna be delicious, and it's all good, and we can do that. So you let me know when you're free.
Well, you can see where this was going. So we made a date, and about a week later, we met up in a commercial kitchen, and Stephanie decided she was going to show me how to make fresh buns, and it's quite a great experience. Hope you enjoy it. So what are we actually going to do today, you think?
We're going to make dinner rolls today. We're going to make bread.
I like it. And I'll tell you right now, my history of bread. It failed abysmally, but it was at school. And I don't think the teacher was very good, but there you go. I'm sure you're going to be better. So What do we do first?
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put all the dry ingredients in our bowl. That includes flour, yeast, sugar, and then some salt. And then we're going to put the wet ingredients as well in it. So this is a really, really, really easy recipe. Mm-hmm. It's like basically putting everything in one bowl and then mixing it up and then proofing it. And we're good to go. So it's very, very easy. So we're going to start with like the flour, the yeast, the sugar, the salt. And then we'll get into the wet ingredients, which is warm milk, butter, and egg.
Perfect. Well, don't let me stop you. Off you go. And I'll ask you questions as we go.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to warm up our milk.
There we go. Now we're going to see if you remember. You just had the instructions literally. There you go.
There we go.
Okay, great. Lovely.
Okay, so let's just warm it up a little bit.
So warming the ingredients up really just helps the yeast to react correctly.
It's going to rise. The yeast is going to allow it to rise and kind of like they're going to mix and mingle and say hello to each other. And they're going to be like, oh, you're warm and cozy. I want to be with you.
I love it. There you go. You go. Okay, how much flour have we got?
Okay, so we're going to do 3 cups to start off with.
Yeah. Okay. I stole this from our cupboard at home.
Okay, and so the way I measure, you know what? I measure, yes, but I'm not really picky. And I think that's because I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for someone who's just starting out and don't really know about baking, become a little picky. Don't become too picky. Mm-hmm. Because being creative and understanding of the recipe. See, as you can tell, I'm not right up to the top.
I love it.
I'm just there.
Yeah, you just judge it. You say, that looks about right, and off you go, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? We're starting with 3 cups. We're going to adjust it once we start mixing it.
Okay, got you.
And we're going to put more flour in there, and then you're going to judge it, and I'll show you how to do that, how to judge that. Oh, look, we are done.
Look at that. That was quick.
That is okay. I'll leave it in.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
So this is the third cup.
Yeah.
Third cup. So we're going to leave that for a second. Now we're going to do the yeast. So, yeast.
So tell us about yeast. What is yeast all about when it comes to bread making?
It's what makes the bread rise, and it also gives it a bit of flavor in there, that yeasty kind of flavor that you love so much.
Yeah.
So we're going to put 2 tablespoons. Again, I'm not doing the entirety of it.
Great.
Because I don't need to. And then we're going to do sugar. White sugar. Oh, yes.
So, again, you were quite specific about the sugar, white sugar. Why white sugar?
Okay, so brown sugar is made with molasses. So white sugar is just white sugar.
Oh, that is processed, basically.
It's processed, yeah.
And sugar beet probably is going to be where it comes from. Yeah.
So a 1/3 cup of sugar, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. Yes, 1/3 cup of sugar. Now, if you want to go and reduce your sugar, you can reduce this to less than a 1/3 cup. You can put half of a 1/3 cup, which I can't. If you're going to try and make me do math, don't do that. Nope. Okay, good. Because that's not going to work.
Right.
And then what we're going to do with the dry ingredients, because we need salt. Wait for it.
And salt, to be fair, in lots of cooking is an essential ingredient, isn't it?
It is. It's almost like a chemistry experiment, right? Because you're bringing all of these things in. I'm just looking to see which. Oh, 1 teaspoon right here. What you're doing is you're amalgamating all these ingredients so that they become a chemistry experiment that makes good food.
Excellent. My mum even used to put salt in when we were percolating coffee. So you do your coffee and then a pinch of salt. And I think, why? I didn't understand it, but the coffee was lovely.
I know. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take literally a tablespoon.
Yeah.
I'm just going to mix it around before I put all the wet ingredients in. That way we kind of get an even mix with it all.
And this is the really important part, isn't it? So evenly getting it mixed.
Because then when you start putting the wet ingredients in, and now then it's becoming mixing, and you want it to mix all together, right?
Got you.
Okay, so I'm just going to check on our milk. We're going to cancel this.
Okay.
Look at me go.
Look at that.
Okay, so I'm going to put my bowl back in.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put all the other ingredients except for the milk.
Right.
So we're going to put the egg, and we're going to put the butter in there, or margarine if you want to use it. And then we'll put the warm milk as we start mixing it.
Okay.
And what I normally do, well, let's do it this way, yes, is I crack the egg first, and I crack it into something because just in case the shells get in there. And then we're going to do butter. So 6 tablespoons of butter, which honestly, if I'm not mistaken, is like half a cup.
Okay.
This is half a cup. We're going to shove this whole thing in.
Yeah, go for it. And you don't have to chop the butter up. Or
No. The machine will do it for you.
Yeah.
You can if you want to, which I'm going to show you what you can. So you can use, you can just chop it up into
Using a
smaller
little
pieces.
butter knife.
And use a butter knife to do it. Chop it in there.
Excellent.
A little easier for your machine. Now, if you don't have a machine that has a dough hook, and you just need to use like a flat hook, then you want to chop your butter up.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
So some people don't have like the big mixers that have those. So there you go. Okay.
So, out of interest, if you don't have a mixer at home, can you still make bread though?
100% you can. You can do it by hand.
Okay. Just takes a bit longer.
It takes a little bit longer. Yeah. What I would do though is I would soften the butter in a microwave.
Okay.
And then, so that's easier to apply, right?
Got you.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it on. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to let the butter kind of do its thing. It's going to say hello to the flour and the yeast and the salt. And it's going to become like a pea-sized type situation. And it's going to be a little bit easier when you put the milk in to kind of combine them all together.
Right.
Now, in the recipe, it doesn't tell you to do that because I've done this recipe so many times. I know to do it.
Excellent. No, these are great tips, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the higher you go, obviously, the more it's going to mix and faster it's going to mix. Now, you see how the flour is going up on the top of the bowl?
Yeah.
You want to scrape that down.
Got you.
All right. Okay, so we're going to add our milk in there just really slowly and see how it's kind of coming together, David?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah. And this is a gradual process. You're just gradually adding it.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And I'm going to add half a cup more. And I'm not worried that it's cold. It's going to do its thing.
Yeah.
Okay, remember how I said we're going to add some more flour? Because this is the way it's going to be. It's kind of like this mushy,
sloppy
type thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to use this. Okay, so David, do you see how it's kind of coming together but still sticky?
Yes, I see it.
That's where we're going to add a little bit more flour.
Right.
So the recipe calls for up to 5 cups of flour, and we only started with 3. And I'm just kind of adding it in as we go along. Woo!
So then we're getting it flying everywhere.
Okay, so general rule is slow your machine down. Okay, slow your machine down, which I should have known that, but you know.
But you see, now you did the right thing. You wore your outfit. I've got nothing. So. And it didn't reach me at this stage.
That's okay. That's part of having fun, right? Let's have some fun while we bake. Okay, so it's sort of coming together, but you want a little bit more flour. So I'm going to draw that down.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually put the whole entire thing in. We're good. So what you want it to do is to come together in a ball, is what you want it to do. And then after that, you're going to knead it for about 2 minutes. So the machine's going to do it for you.
Right. Got it.
You can certainly do it by hand if you wish to, but I don't want to.
No, and I think the thing about doing it by hand is that it's a technique, isn't it, that you have to learn?
It is, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not really that hard to learn.
Right.
But it's consuming, time consuming.
I
Okay.
can see it, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
see,
really
it's
coming
kind of,
together.
so the bowl now is clear, right?
Yeah.
It's cleaned out,
Yeah,
which is really good, and it's going to need it. Now, it's a little bit sticky at the bottom. There's one or two things you can do. One, you can add a little bit more flour.
right. Got
Or two, you can just leave it sticky like that and just, it'll be fine. So we're going to add just a little bit more flour.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Because remember, it said up to 5 cups, and we're at what? Not even, about 4 cups or so.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, so you see at the bottom of there where it's kind of sticky, but not too sticky?
Yeah, got it.
That is good.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this thing up. So if you touch the dough and it's still sticky like this, which is fine, you can put a little bit more flour, which I think we are, because when you stick it and it's sticking to your hands,
got you.
we want a little bit more
Okay.
flour.
Got it.
That is okay. So this is listening to your instincts and understanding what the recipe is doing. Incorporate that a little bit slower so we don't get flour on us again.
Baptism of flour, right?
Yeah,
There we go.
exactly.
Yeah, this is it. Probably not the worst thing you've had on you in the kitchen, is it?
No. And you know what? If you're not making a little bit of a mess in a kitchen, what are you doing?
I totally agree with you. Actually.
Like you
Yeah.
seriously need to make a little bit of mess.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, that looks a lot
see, that's
different. Yeah.
see how different it is.
Yeah.
Now it's sticky, but it's coming together nicely as kind of one ball.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so we're almost there. Again, using my instincts because the stuff at the bottom just needs to come off a little bit from it.
I can see why you use that particular implement or hook.
Yeah,
when you do it,
because
it slides off, doesn't it?
It does. Plus,
Yeah.
it allows the dough to come around.
Got
If
you.
you're using the flat one or even a whisk, it'll be in there and it's not going to be very good.
Right, got you.
Right?
Got you. There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to take that hook off. And
Okay.
always get the good stuff. There's still stuff on here.
I like it. I like it. You waste not, want not.
No,
Yeah.
why waste it? You got
Yeah.
some good stuff on there. Okay,
Right.
so the first thing we're going to do now, we're going to spray down the pans and then we're going to proof it, is what we're going to do.
Okay, right. Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Now, you can use parchment paper
Right,
if you
yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
but because these pans actually go into the oven that we're going to be using, we're just going to spray it down. And then be good general spraying. Don't be shy. Be
There you go. Now, if you don't have spray and you don't have parchment paper, what else can you do to stop it sticking?
Butter.
Okay, butter will work.
So, like,
yeah.
you know what? The old time, like long time ago, these sprays never existed.
Right,
Okay.
absolutely.
Right. And so people would use like butter and they would just put the butter on the pan, like by hand or whatever, or even with a paper towel. My mother used to do that. She used to take a paper towel and put it in the butter or the margarine and just slather it all on there and you're good to go. Okay. So you have all of this. It's a huge thing of dough. So what you want to do, we're going to make buns, is we're going to separate it. Now,
Right.
you can make this. There's no right or wrong, David. You can make the buns as big as you want. You can make the buns as small as you want.
Got you.
And so what I do is I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to make it into a round and I make a little dough like that. And so what I'm doing is I'm tucking in at the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to put them there. Okay.
Okay, and what sort of size rolls are these going to make across? About 2
Honestly,
inches, 3 inches maybe?
Maybe.
Oh, 4, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They're going to be a little bit bigger.
Yeah, got you.
But not too big. And
Yeah.
it's okay if they touch, like once they get proofed and stuff, it's okay if they touch.
Right, got you.
We're good. So yeah.
So we got them on the pan.
do.
Spacing, I just noticed you moving them around. What are you looking to allow around outside?
Growth.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to expand a little
So-
bit.
so-
So even though they touch, they're okay. But I
Yeah.
want a little bit of room between the two of them.
So sort of 1 to 2 inches type
Yeah.
of thing. Yep, okay.
Yeah,
There we
absolutely.
go.
So what
All
we're
right.
going to do is we're going to turn this thing again on, this lovely machine.
I know, there you go. I'm glad you were in the driving seat because I wouldn't have a clue.
Proof, here we go.
There we go. Okay, perfect. That's amazing how they've come forward so much, haven't they, these things? Yeah.
Okay, wait, it's got to...
There we go.
All right,
Okay.
so what we're going to do is
Yeah.
we're going to stick it in here for
So-
11 minutes.
Oh, right, okay. Now, clearly at home, we're probably not going to have access to a proofing oven. So what would you do at home?
Oh, okay. So what I would do is I would turn my oven on
Yeah.
and let the heat from the oven allow it to proof.
Okay. And when you say proofing with the oven on, we're talking about the lowest temperature
No,
So-
put your temperature at 350,
Oh.
but you're not putting it in the oven. You're
Right.
putting it on top of the oven.
Got you. I'm glad you made that. It's
Yeah,
clear.
so put it on top of the oven so that the warmth of the oven is, or on the top, stove top is basically what you're going to
Okay,
do.
that's-
And then you just put the saran wrap on top, or you put clean tea towel on there, and you walk away for about 30 minutes, and you're good to go.
Now, what are we going to do? We're going to do a bit of cleaning up now?
We're going to clean up.
Okay, great.
We're going to make sure that when you clean, I want you to make sure that you're cleaning your machines, because if you don't, it gets sticky and gross, and that's just not good.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and we're going to go and clean our.
Okay, well, let's break for that, and let's do that. All right.
Absolutely.
So,
Oh, look, we are done.
Look at-
Okay, so it proved we're good. They've grown a little bit. We don't want them to grow too much, which is good. So if we start baking them, so what we're going to do is we're going to
so what are you looking to set the temperature to?
350.
Okay.
Okay, and we're going to put that in there. We are going to put it in for 10 minutes. Start,
Yeah, got you.
and then we're good. Hopefully it's going to work.
Okay, got you.
Go, you start having a conversation.
So we were just having a conversation there, not looking at the oven, and look, they're beautiful. Actually, they're probably about there, aren't they? What would you reckon? 16
seconds.
What do you think in terms of your educated eye?
They're ready to go.
Oh my goodness, that was so quick,
I
wasn't it?
know, it doesn't take very long to bake them.
Yeah.
Now, if you're wondering, okay, how do I know they're ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so they got to be golden brown on the top.
Yeah.
And if they're golden brown on the top, generally they will be, okay, well, I'm not going to do that with my hands. We need
That's right. We need a mitts of some sort, don't we? Oh my goodness, they smell beautiful.
So sometimes when you look at it,
Yeah.
you're like, well, are they ready?
Yeah.
You can break it apart. There's nothing wrong with breaking it apart,
Right, got you.
to say. Because
Wow.
I'm a baker as well. I'm going to,
Yeah.
let's crack one open. There you go.
There we
Goodbye.
go. Yeah.
Okay, let's break one. It's going to be hot as hell, but look.
Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous. So that's the right texture.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and
You
they're
just
not-
need to let them cool
Yeah.
down a bit.
They're not doughy at all, are
No,
they?
but they're doughy now because they're hot.
Oh, yeah,
Okay?
I get you.
That's
yeah.
the reason why. See, when you see that this doughy, it looks. Oh, wait.
Are we a little bit doughy?
We are a little bit doughy.
So what do we do then?
So we're going to put that back together like that.
Yeah.
We're going to shove them back in the oven.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
remember, every oven is different.
Yeah.
Every oven has different temperatures.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And every other oven is going to be different. You could have the same oven.
I think person was it? There we go. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
okay.
So you have to make sure, and that's why I broke it open,
Yeah.
just to make sure. That's okay. We're just going to stuff it back
right, got
in.
you.
Because like in my oven, it'd be 10 minutes,
Right. Got you.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this oven is different, and it's not my oven, so we're going
Yeah.
to go back in here again. And I would say
Okay.
we're going to put it in for 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So another 5 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay. Right. So we just finished. The buzzer's gone. Oh my goodness. Yeah. What a difference, eh?
Yeah, they're
5
good
minutes
brown.
makes-
They're browner, and they should be cooked in the middle by now.
Right.
Yeah. So let's crack one open. I'm going to crack
Yeah.
a small one open.
Okay.
Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's better.
That's much better.
Much
isn't it?
better.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you chefs have got what do they call it? Asbestos fingers. I mean,
Well,
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So then you would let them cool for how long?
Probably about a half an hour or so.
Yeah.
If you're in a rush, you just put them in a Ziploc bag, let them leave them open, and then
Yeah.
off you go, like
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. But you can also take them off this hot pan because remember, when it's in a hot pan, it is still cooking.
Wow.
And so what I would do,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, we can because this is already sanitized. We can take it and put it on here, but this is metal and it's also gonna be warm. So yeah, you just
them on a
put them on a plate, put them on somewhere that they can cool down, and then you're good to go.
That's fantastic, and of course, freshly churned butter would be beautiful on this.
It would.
wouldn't
It would. Let's just get on that right now.
Exactly. Well,
Hey, chef.
so we got Chef Doug here with us, and he's very kindly let us have a loan of his kitchen today, and we want to thank you very much for that. We
My
really
pleasure.
Appreciate it. And Stephanie has made, I think, the most wonderful rolls, but we haven't tasted them yet. And seeing that you are the chef here, we'd like to honour you being the first to
Okay,
taste.
thank you.
So, Chef, what are you looking for when you look at baked goods like this and rolls?
For me, I'm looking for texture first.
Yeah.
And then the body of the roll.
Right. Got you.
What a nice and firm. Hot.
Oh.
Yep.
And we have some butter as well if you're a butter man, but no, straight in there.
Very good. They're dense, though, eh?
Yeah, very dense.
And
They're not a fluffy bread.
No, that's
it's
right.
It's a dense bread.
Yeah. Typically, what would you use a dense bread for? Is it just
Seriously, big sandwiches. I would totally remember the mayo, turkey, stuffing, potatoes, gravy, and then shove it all together and have it good.
That's a heart attack in a bun, isn't it?
It is totally.
Excellent for this format, too. Warm roll with some fresh preserves. Excellent.
Oh, man. Yeah, fresh preserve. That's where I would go. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
thank you.
tasting it. There we go.
Take another.
There you go for it. Thank you, Chef. Cheers.
Thank you. That means the world to me, Chef. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Stephanie, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for showing me how to bake bread.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm not so fearful now, which is wonderful.
That's
That's
good.
good. And literally, like you say, it took 10, 15 minutes to put it together. And then the rest of the time was in the oven, pretty much. You obviously reproof for a little while, for 30 minutes, but the rest of the time you can have bread within an hour and a half, and we're good to go.
Absolutely.
Or rolls is the case.
Yep.
Maybe. Just wanted to do a bit of a shout out for your website and what have you, and how people get in contact with you if they like to do something like this.
Sure. www.EntrepreneurConnectionEDM.com. You can get a hold of me there. Instagram, just look for Entrepreneur Connection EDM. And LinkedIn, same thing.
Well, as you can hear, we had such great fun and the rolls were just beautiful. Really, really enjoyed it. But this story doesn't end there. It's the story that keeps giving. And just about 2 weeks later, after we first met up, we'd obviously done the bake-off there, I found out that Stephanie had received an award, and I just happened to come across it on LinkedIn. She'd actually won the Scotiabank Volunteer of the Year Award here in Canada, which is a pretty important award. And I had to reach back out to her and actually ask her a little bit more about what happened and how she got the award.
I've been working with Rise for a very long time, like 6-7 years, and volunteering, and mentoring lots of individuals. And then I was an SME for their Mighty Networks platform. So SME stands for subject matter expert. And so I was an SME from like January till I think September. And one of the people that jumped on there and wanted some one-on-one conversations with me was the lady who nominated me. And I was like, what? And so I got the nomination in September, and the nomination came in with the actual like nomination as in what she wrote about me. And I sat there and read it and went, what? Like, that's me? Oh, okay. And I literally got off the couch to tell my husband about it. And I said, I probably won't win because there's a lot of mentors like in Rise, because Rise is a national company across Canada. And so there's a lot of mentors. And I said to my husband, I'm not going to win. Like, there's a lot, no big deal. And then that was August, I think. And then September, beginning of October, I'm literally sitting on the couch. I get that, get my phone, ding. Like, okay, I'm looking, and then I'm like, it says, congratulations, you won. And I went, what? And I literally jumped off the couch and I'm screaming, I won. I was like, what's going on? Right. And I said, I won the award. And he's like, holy shit, you won the award. He's like, congrats. And so I was so excited that I had won, but I don't know if the word humble, is that the word? Humble about it? Like, thank you for the award. I'm so honored, but it's like, I don't really need to be recognized. Like, I love doing what I do. And I just, if I make somebody smile or, change their life a little bit in that day or that conversation, that's kind of where my joy is filled from that. Like, the award is great. And I have told all of my close friends and family about it.
But
I think it's a typical imposter syndrome. I think that's what you're suffering from a little bit, because let's be frank and honest about it. You don't get these sort of awards unless somebody nominates you, and somebody did. And clearly you're doing the right thing in the right place. And it's not because you're conscious of getting an award. You're just doing what naturally comes to you. And I love that about you, because you are very unassuming. You're there to support somebody straight away. You don't even think about it. You don't think twice. And it's really humbling for me to see that even when we were doing our little bake-off, our little cooking thing, that the chef came in and he actually was really complimentary about the buns that we baked. And it hit a raw nerve with you, which was lovely, because you're probably not used to having that pat in the back a lot of the time. You're just about getting your head down. Let's get on with the job. Let's sort the problem out. Let's support you guys. And you're not expecting anything. So to have this award, accept it. Just take it in with your heart, because you know what? You deserve it. It's so, so important.
thank you. Yes, thank you. It's going to sink in, I'm sure. Like, I just got it emailed. Hang on, I'm going to show it to you. Look, I don't know if you can see that.
That's just great, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just out of interest, tell us a little bit about the organization that you got involved with, because I imagine some other people are very much like you. They're the 30% of this world that are really interested in people and want to support people. So tell us a wee bit about it briefly.
Rise is a Toronto-based company it's a nonprofit organization that helps entrepreneurs with disabilities, navigate the entrepreneurial world. And so they have different programs for entrepreneurs to go through, kind of like a boot camp type situation, where they write their business plans. They have lots of workshops, to navigate like branding and marketing and all that sort of stuff. They also have a loan program. So when let's say you need a loan, for whatever amount, up to $10,000 is what they give. You can get a loan, and then with that loan comes a mentor, and the mentor stays with you for a year. And that mentor will navigate whatever topics that you need to work through, whether it be your business plan, whether it be whatever, they'll navigate through that. And so that's where I come in. I help the loan recipients to navigate the entrepreneur world. I've had conversations anywhere from branding to costing to the mental health stuff going in of, I can't handle this. I can't deal with this. I need a conversation about that. Let's do that. So I've had all sorts of conversations throughout the years. And so they've been around. They started really small. They actually talked about it in the awards ceremony, how they started really, really small, right? And then all of a sudden it grew and grew and grew. And now it's a Canadian-wide program. And the recipients alone, there was 5 of us, I think, if I'm not mistaken. 2 was in BC, 1 in Alberta, and 1 in Toronto. So you could see the widespread of recipients that won were across Canada. And so, they're a good organization. That's why I stay with them, because every person I've worked with, met through the organization, all of that, they've always been supportive of both me as a mentor and then the mentees that are getting mentored. And so there's a support network there that's built in, and I like that support.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And if anybody wants to join that network or that organization, is it a very simple process of sort of going online and making an application to become a mentor? Is that how you did it?
Yeah, you go to risehelps.ca. They'll just navigate through their website. They have opportunities. You can become a mentor, all of that. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Stephanie, I just think you so deserve it, and well done. I'm really, really pleased for you. And I think I just needed to record this little bit for our interview, because this has to be included. It's so important.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been listening to On the Track with me, David Wilson. My guest today was Stephanie Markakas-Plouffe, a woman who proves that baking bread can mend more than hunger. It can reconnect people to purpose, to healing, and to one another. Today's episode was brought to you by Commercial Food Service, proudly serving Alberta's schools, offices and daycares for more than 20 years. Visit cfsfood.ca to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe for more conversations with extraordinary people who've got themselves on the track. We'll see you next time.